I laughed at my sister's baby name, and now I'm no longer the godmother. Hi Reddit. I, 29F, am absolutely spiraling and I need to know if I'm the villain in this weird, emotional baby name war. My sister, 31F, is due with her first baby in early January, and I've been planning her baby shower, set for early December. We're close enough that she asked me to be her baby's godmother, and even closer that I offered to fund and organize the entire baby shower myself. My sister's always had what I'd call an artsy streak. Everything has to be unique, whimsical, or not like other girls. So I wasn't surprised when she announced her baby name months ago, Raefarty, our mom's maiden name. I was actually on board with that. It's a bit unconventional as a first name, sure, but it carries family history and sounds classy. Plus, Raefarty could easily turn into a cool nickname. Raf. No problem. So, cut to a few days ago. I text her to say I need to get the custom baby shower decorations ordered, banners, onusses, signs, that kind of thing, and needed to double-check how she's spelling Raefarty. That's when she drops the bomb. We're actually going with an alternative spelling. Raefarty. I literally stared at my phone for a full minute. Then I blinked. Then I reread it. Then I laughed. Out loud. I texted back. An alternative spelling of our mother's maiden name? And she replies. Yeah. Raefarty 2 heart sparkles. I sent back a string of laughing emojis. I couldn't help it. Then she asked. What's so funny? So I told her. I said, people are going to read that as Raefarty. I wasn't trying to be mean, I was being real. I expected her to groan, laugh it off, maybe reconsider. But nope. She told me I was being ridiculous. That people nowadays know how to pronounce creative names. I said, my poor niece, little Miss Farty Ray. That apparently did it. She didn't respond after that, but I got a call from my mom the next day. She told me I was uninvited from the baby shower, the one I was planning and paying for, and that my sister no longer wanted me to be the godmother. I was floored. I tried explaining to my mom that the name was going to ruin my niece's life. Like, Raefarty? Seriously? That's not a quirky twist. That's a playground nickname begging to happen. But my mom told me I should have been more supportive of my sister's creative choices and that pregnancy hormones make her extra sensitive. At that point, I figured maybe I was being too harsh. I genuinely love my sister and want her to be happy. But I couldn't let this go. So I did the only thing that made sense. I vented to Reddit. Here's where it gets messier. Turns out I wasn't alone. Literally every person in the comments saw it immediately. Farty. Teachers chimed in. Parents chimed in. Even linguists, I think, chimed in. The overwhelming consensus: this child would be tormented for life. No one, and I mean no one, thought this was a good idea. And here's the kicker, even my sister's husband had his doubts. According to him, I found out later through a mutual friend, he saw the name on a baby registry list and was like, oh no. But he didn't say anything to my sister because she seemed so excited and he didn't want to upset her during the pregnancy. He figured once the baby was born, she'd snap out of it. Spoiler alert, she wasn't going to snap out of it. At this point, I was torn. Do I just give up? Let her name her daughter Raefarty and pick up the pieces later? Or do I do what any concerned aunt would do, intervene? You can probably guess which one I chose. Update. So, after the absolute fallout from my last text exchange with my sister, remember, I laughed at her spelling Raefarty instead of Raefarty, and she godmothered me. I debated letting it go. But after seeing the flood of Reddit support and realizing literally no one thought Raefarty was a sane spelling, I decided to step in. Not with cruelty. With strategy. Enter, the Farty Party. No, I didn't actually call it that in real life, but it's what I've dubbed the name intervention that went down 3 days later. I got in touch with a few key people. Her husband, let's call him Mark. Her best friend, Jess, who is a kindergarten teacher and knows what names get torn to shreds. Our mom and dad. Her mother-in-law. Me, the villain turned voice of reason. I told them my plan, Sit her down gently, present the facts, and try to help her realize that this creative spelling is actually social sabotage for her unborn child. Mark was so relieved. He admitted that he'd been uncomfortable about it from the beginning but didn't want to crush her spirit. Jess straight up said, "Kids are cruel, and that name is asking for it." Even our mom, who initially scolded me, said she did think the spelling was unusual, but didn't want to hurt my sister's feelings. Her MEL said it sounded like a medieval skin disease. Everyone was nervous but agreed to do it. The setup. We told my sister we were doing a mini nursery planning party since she cancelled the baby shower. We met at her place. Snacks, candles, good vibes. She seemed in a decent mood, until Jess pulled out a list. It was titled, "Names with Unintended Meanings, a Case Study." It was funny at first. She read names like Olivia, pronounced Olivia, Kvielin, pronounced Caitlin, and Bieberly, then showed how substitute teachers mispronounced them, or how kids teased them. My sister laughed. We were hopeful. Then she got to Raefarty, potential nicknames, Ray, Farty, Raefarty, Fartster, Farty McToots. That's when my sister's face froze. Mark quietly said, "Babe, I really love the idea of using your mom's maiden name. But the spelling, it's rough. Kids will say stuff." And then I, very gently, added, "You want your daughter to feel empowered, right? To walk into a classroom without anxiety. Names matter." She was silent for a solid 10 seconds. Then she burst into tears. And then she yelled at me again. She said I was turning everyone against her, that I made fun of her when she was vulnerable, and that this was supposed to be her moment. I apologized, sincerely, and told her that we all love her and just want to protect her and her baby. That we weren't laughing at her, we were trying to protect Raefarty, the tiny human about to inherit that name forever. Eventually, she calmed down. It helped that Jess shared stories of actual kids who begged to change their names because of how badly they were teased. Mark showed her a Reddit thread of names people regret giving their kids. I think what got to her most, though, was when our dad quietly said, "Sweetheart, your mom would be honored that you want to use her name, but not like this." By the end of the night, my sister still hadn't committed to changing the spelling, but she wasn't shutting us down either. She even said, "Maybe we can workshop a few other spellings." That's huge progress considering she unfriended me 3 days earlier. We all hugged. It was awkward, emotional, but hopeful. One twist though. The next morning, she posted a very cryptic Instagram story. "Let people make their own choices. Not everything needs a committee vote." So, yeah. I thought we made progress. But now, I don't know. Update. So, remember how my sister hinted on Instagram that she wasn't backing down completely after the intervention? Well, she did cancel the original baby shower, but now she's hosting a smaller, intimate version with just her close friends and a few family members. I wasn't initially invited. Until I saw the invite on my mom's fridge. It was a pastel pink card with gold lettering and butterflies. Very on brand. But right in the center was "Celebrating baby Raefarty." I nearly dropped the casserole I was holding. "Yes, you read that right, Raefarty." She doubled down. Nay, she tripled down. It's like she took the backlash from Raefarty and said, "How can I make this even more phonetically horrifying?" I called my mom and said, "Please tell me this is a typo." Mom sighed and said, "No." She said it's more elegant this way. Like French-inspired. Y'all. She added an apostrophe. Like Beyoncé, but make it flatulence adjacent. I finally got an invite the next day, along with a text from my sister that read, "If you're coming, please respect the name and don't start anything." Okay. So I show up. I behave. I bite my tongue so hard I might need stitches. But then, the name game begins. One of her friends, clearly as confused as the rest of us, asks, "So how do you pronounce it again?" My sister, dead serious, goes, "It's pronounced Raefarty." The accent is silent but implied. The room went quiet. No one wanted to be the first to laugh. Then her husband, bless him, said, "Didn't you say the spelling was for your mom's name? How does Farty honor that?" She glared at him. It's inspired by my mom. It's about evolution. Identity. This is unique. It's luxury. Luxury. My mom choked on her juice. At this point, even her closest friends were side-eyeing each other. One of them whispered to me in the kitchen, "Is she serious? That poor baby's going to have to spell this out her whole life." Then came the moment of truth. The cake was wheeled out. On it, in bright pink frosting, it said, "Welcome, Raefarty." I'll admit it was beautifully decorated. Fondant butterflies, gold leaf, edible pearls, and then that name, sitting on top like a flaming whoopee cushion. At the end of the party, I caught my sister alone and asked her, calmly, "Are you sure about this?" She looked at me and said, "Yes. It's original. I want my daughter to stand out." I said, "She will. But not in the way you think." Then she walked away. But wait, there's a final twist. The very next day, Mark, her husband, called me. He said, "I ordered the birth certificate form online because I wanted to double-check everything. She wants to register it the minute the baby is born. But I'm scared. If I sign off on this, it's permanent." Then he added something that floored me. "I'm thinking of filing separately. Like, requesting a different legal name for my copy of the birth certificate." Yup. He wants to legally name his daughter something normal, even if she goes by the luxury fart name publicly. He asked if I'd help him research how to do that without triggering World War III. I don't know what to tell him. I'm torn between respecting her autonomy and protecting this innocent child from a lifetime of trauma by name. Final update. Hey again, everyone. A lot has happened. Baby girl has arrived, healthy, beautiful, with a full head of hair and a scream that could shatter glass. But of course, the name saga didn't end quietly. Let's get into it. The delivery room disaster. My sister gave birth last week. She had a relatively smooth delivery, all things considered. I wasn't there, obviously, but my mom and Katie were. Her husband, Mark, was supportive throughout, and for a brief moment, we all hoped motherhood would soften her stance on Raefarty. Nope. She told the nurse at check-in that the baby's name was Raefarty Sloan, last name, and insisted the hospital list it on everything: bassinet card, announcement board, ID bands. But here's the kicker. When she said it aloud, the nurse paused and said, "How do you spell that?" My sister went, RHAEY''FHARTE. The nurse, after a long pause, replied, "Okay. I'm going to need to get the supervisor." Apparently, hospital protocol flagged the name, not because it's offensive, but because the apostrophe and accent mark were invalid characters in the state's birth registration system. Yes. The name she'd been clinging to like a sacred relic wasn't even legally valid. Mark's sneak attack. While my sister sobbed in post-op recovery about how the patriarchy was erasing her creative identity, Mark seized his moment. Mark told the hospital staff that he had another version of the name they'd agreed to if Raefarty wasn't acceptable, one without the non-standard characters. This was technically true. The hospital allowed him to fill out his part of the birth certificate first. He submitted, Theodora Sloan, last name. Just like that. Simple. Classic. No apostrophes. No silent farts. When my sister found out, it wasn't pretty. She screamed. She threatened to divorce the conformity out of him. She tried to tear the form up, but they had already filed it. But it doesn't end there. Enter the hack. Now, remember how the hospital was going to put the baby's name on the digital welcome board in the maternity wing? Well, it did. For about 20 minutes. Then it changed. Suddenly, in big pink font, it read, "Welcome baby Raefarty _ growing heart." With a fart emoji and everything. Everyone, patients, nurses, the janitor, saw it. Someone even took a photo and posted it to a local mom group on Facebook, and y'all, it went viral. My sister was furious. She accused me, then Katie, then the nurse who first questioned her spelling. But turns out, it was Mark's 14-year-old cousin, who was visiting with the in-laws and had guessed the login password on a nearby unattended staff computer. Apparently, it was baby 2023, real Fort Knox security, there. The cousin confessed when confronted. He thought it would be a funny joke, not realizing it would erupt into an emotional volcano. The aftermath. My sister, exhausted and defeated, agreed to let Theodora stand as the official name. She says she'll still call her Raefarty at home, her chosen name. But here's the thing, everyone is calling her Thea or Teddy. Even my mom. Even Mark. Even the cousin who nearly launched WW3 with a fart emoji. The mural in the nursery that read Raefarty was repainted. The custom bracelet. Returned. The embroidered baby book. Replaced. And, as promised, I was re-invited to the baby shower, which was pushed back to celebrate both her arrival and the name reawakening. It was smaller, calmer, and honestly, kind of sweet. I gifted a little silver rattle with Theodora engraved on it. My sister teared up, hugged me, and said, "I know you all meant well." I didn't say anything back. I just handed her a second, smaller box. Inside, a pacifier clip with the name Raefarty spelled out in plastic beads, complete with a tiny fart cloud charm. She laughed. Finally. And that's how we made peace. Theodora's here, healthy and gorgeous. I'm not the godmother, but I'm the slightly sarcastic aunt with great taste in revenge gifts. Thanks for following along. And remember, just because you can spell a name creatively doesn't mean you should.